Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on The Insight. However, before we go, let us apologize for those minutes that we wasted before coming on air. But do remember that on The Insight, we'll bring you issues, topics, headlines that help in shaping our nation. And today, we'll be x-raying the new educational policies, the new developments and directions in education. Remember, we don't just give you the x-rays, but we'll do a post-mortem on these policies. And we'll go ahead to bring expert opinions, expert analysts, men, women who are involved in shaping these policies. And today, we'll be discussing with a foremost administrator, one who doesn't hold back his thoughts. Speaking of Ugu, former chairman of NAPS, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools in Enugu, and he is the director, Swiss Keys Academy. Sir, finally, it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right. Before I start talking policies, by Wednesday, October the 1st, Nigeria will be celebrating 65 years. So I want to ask, what's your assessment of Nigeria vis-a-vis education?
Well, I'm not part of those people who belong in continuous analysis of Nigeria. So all the while, I'm always invited to talk about Nigeria. And what I'm asking myself is all what we are saying, how has it impacted? However, I know that it is still impacting, but not in the quantity we want it to be impacted. So if you talk about my assessment about Nigeria vis-a-vis the education, I've always said it, that most of our government are not sincere about the solution or the policies they are bringing. Why do I say so? You will see a policy that looks so good, but there is no laid down implementation framework. So we will sign an MOU, we will sign a policy framework, and the hands will be clapped about that. But at the end of the day, what is the effect in average Nigeria? That's the issue. So you look at somewhere like Enugu, when the government were coming, they said they are going to solve water in 180 days. That story looks so good. But the issue, did they do forensic analysis to know if they can solve it? Even when they did and know they can't, they will still give you those information so that you will enjoy and go and sleep with it when we are all sure that is not going to be implemented. So if I take you back to your question, which is about education in Nigeria, do you know that today that in Nigeria we run 9-3-4 education orchestrated by the government? Yet they still have primary schools. They still write a common entrance. Where are you entering when you say that nobody graduates from primary 6? They still write primary 6 exam when they have said that they abolish primary 6, that the basic education ends in JS3. Who is fooling who? Are we going front? Are we going back? And if you take all this into every sector, it's not education, take it to judiciary, take it to politics, take it to any sector, it is the same thing. You in 2007, they said they have abolished primary 6. Today, people who did primary 6 in 2007 want to get job elsewhere. They tell them to go and get primary 6 certificate. It is happening. In which country do you do such a thing? Some are sorting everything. You get an NIM today. You want to get BVN. They tell you that the arrangement of your name are not the same. You go and swear affidavit, even the one you don't get into the court. Yet it is so for me, we are just messing up. We are not ready. We are really marking time. We have not started progressing.
We are really marking time. We've not started progressing.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look directly at the private schools a little bit. The new policies, the world is changing. Nigeria as well is trying to play catch up. However, we've seen new policies. There's been adaptation of transformative education reforms and unfoldings in Nigeria, despite you've maintained that we've not started. However, what I want to ask is, given these changes and developments, how does private schools in Nigeria coping with this reforms, transformation, how do they fit in?
Are you talking about reform in the whole Nigeria or the reform in education
I'm
about
talking about
Enugu State?
I'm talking about education in Nigeria vis-a-vis Enugu State as well.
Okay. Let me school you a bit.
Okay.
When you talk about private school, I'm a private school owner, and I'm not even so proud that the government have not been able to meet up that private school are being run the way it is being run. In every country there are private school, but the issue is in our own context. What are we? Why? There is no business if there is no problem. Business come to solve a problem, but the kind of problem that education, our private education came to solve in Nigeria is what is worrying me, because the government have created a lot of spaces that even things that ordinarily are not supposed to be a problem that should be solved by private schools are still solving it and making people. I must tell you that, and these are the ones that the government could have afforded. So private schools stepping in the higher realm, but the government are below it. That private schools are stepping into the very basic thing that government should be provided. So when you now come to the policies, you begin to ask yourself, the person making the policy, did he understand the problem of education in the country? Because if you don't know your problem, you wouldn't know the solution. How do I say so? In the federal government, let me take it for instance, the Honorable Minister is my good friend, and I have said it to his present. Are you doing curriculum changing? You are reorganizing curriculum, and you have not even reorganized publishers, people who write books. You start from the fundamental. The publisher ought to have published the book that we're going to use to implement the new curriculum. You now you added China to our language. No, how many teachers in Enugu, how many Chinese teachers can I get to teach that? I don't know whether they are getting me. So that's why I tell you that sometimes we don't even know our problem and we just jump in to solve it. So at the end of the day, we get confused along the way. So then you now bring it down to Enugu vis-a-vis the private school. When the commissioner came in, I met with him, and he told me he's going to close quack schools and all those things. Ask him, he's my friend. And I told him, yeah, that is good one, but can you do it? He said he would do it. He do it by himself. I say you can't. He said, Mr. Ernest, I say you can't. Try it. The commissioner set out, closed the school. The foremost one he closed was the one former NAP chairman's school that he closed along the presidential road. But in 3 days, the school opened. Will he be there?
In 3 days?
Yeah. You go there. The school is there. So, other schools, other very wretched schools, as they were closed, after 10 days, they will reopen, because the commissioner cannot be in Oji River and be in Mbu and be in Isuzo to be standing at the gate and making sure. And to make the matter worse, are there schools there? Are you closing a school when you cannot provide one? Then if you tell me that they have done well, that they are providing one school per ward, if you come to my village is Obukwa, we have 4 Igwe, 4 autonomous community. In each of that community, before now, all of them have a primary school. And it wasn't even enough. People who are 4 years, you start primary 1 at 6 years. You can trek to some of them, but at least your siblings can guide you to get to some of them. Now, today, the community that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools have now been collapsed to have 1 school. Tell me how 5 years old a child can trek for 40 minutes to access the centralized smart school they have built.
40 minutes, you meant?
40 kilometers.
40 kilometers.
From Elego Obukpa to Iho Obukpa, where they build the smart school, is about at least approximately 20 kilometers. So and a child, or 15 kilometers if I guess right. So a child of 5 years, can it trek that way? Do you understand? So we had school just about not less than a kilo to our houses, and another school is less than a kilo to people's houses. That's why we had 5 different primary schools around. But today, in trying to solve this, you now merge all of them and go and build one in a very far kilometer.
Mr. Ernest.
So just to finish, you asked me a question.
Yes.
About how is the private school accepting or taking it. And I've told you how we are messed up as a private school. And I've also told you how the government have been able to provide a platform for us to mess up and continue to mess up.
All right. You mentioned something critical here. The children in Obukba community now trek up to 15, 20 kilometers to
Assess the new
this
smart
school.
school.
But it can be argued that the collapsing of these schools into one is to achieve effectiveness and impactful education to the community. You don't agree with that?
Do you know one of the problem of education is my school has just been awarded as one of the SDG schools in Enugu. It was 2 days ago that they sent the letter from the United Nations. So I understand education. One of the problem of education is accessibility.
Okay.
And how can you now remove accessibility because you are providing quality? You can't. None of them is to be blocking each other. It should be quality. It should be accessible.
Mr. Ernest, you have access to those formulating these policies. You have access to the commissioners. Have you sent this view across to them?
I've said it here now.
And they are yet to react to that. Apart from saying it here, you have access.
I've said it to them. I've said it to the minister. I've said it to the commissioner, and they are still alive. They can say that I have not said it.
All right.
In fact, recently the commissioner had to agree with me and about regulation. They are doing something similar to what the template I gave them. I was one of those people who went to Aneke Lake to do education reform during Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and I know in page 78 I wrote this myself. You can ask the current vice chancellor of Sumax. We was our chairman, and I was shouting during Professor Uchese, if we don't bring a framework of regulation, we cannot succeed in education. Where sanction can be holistic. It is not when, like in Enugu, I know that some senators have schools. When their school they won't be sanctioned. But when my own my own will be sanctioned. Do you understand? Police will come everywhere. There is a framework to regulate and make everybody equal. Let it not be where some animals are more equal than the other animal. Not even because the people who are making this policy want it to happen, but because they cannot. They are incapable. Just as I said, the commissioner took his pain to go around and close school. But can he take his pain to be omnifunction, to be in Oji River and be in Enugu at the same time? It can't happen. But there are ways to do those things, which some of these people didn't know, and we have given them in good faith. Manage this information if you manage this template. If
can you disclose such information? Is it possible?
Let's continue.
All right. I see that you're so passionate about education, and then we're lucky to have you in the studio today. Mr. Ernest, given all that you've said, let's critically assess the shift from 934 system to the new proposed structure of 12 to 4 years education model.
No, what they shifted from is 644 education. And
then we'll move to 934.
No, I think it was 633 for education. That's 6 years for basic education, 3 years for junior secondary, 3 years for senior secondary, then 4 years for university. And I shifted it to 934 education.
And then we are seeing 12 years to 4 years as well, where a child has to start from the basic through the normal secondary.
Like in my last podcast, I said that some of all these things are gynae. We don't make it. For me, I don't make any meaning with all this nomenclature. Whether the basic education is 10 years or basic education is 1 year, the issue is it effective? If it is effective, my father did primary 6, and I never beat him in any essay writing or any letter writing until he died. So, one of the fundamental things I've said to reform education is to take care of teachers.
To take care of teachers.
Bam.
You feel that teachers are not
if teachers are not taken care of, like I know in Enugu we built a lot of beautiful schools, but there was no staff quarters. There was no increment on salary of the teachers. Every other thing we are doing is nonsense. Let me tell you, when teachers are motivated well, under the mango tree, they will give education that is superb.
Mr. Ernest, are teachers who were taken care of by the private schools?
If you come to that, I will tell you, yes, teachers are better taken care of in private school. The only difference in both of them is that in private school they work. In a public school they don't work.
Some may argue that it's the same fish of kettle for both.
No, if you say that is that, then let's take a census of the performance of private school and government school. When one government school can win a laurel, 7 private schools win a lottery, even with the lowest infrastructure. That is to tell you that motivation, teachers are the engine room of learning. I've done this thing for decades. I was involved in education transformation in Anambra. Go and investigate.
Right.
So I can tell you for free that teachers' welfare is one of the engine room and one of the fundamental. In fact, in that book I told you that we did in 2018, I did 19, I said that we could give teachers a special plate number in Enugu, in Nigeria, so that when police see them, it's as little as that. And that should, if you go abroad, it happens. Teacher has dignity. Do you understand? And once this happens, you will see that some of the people, okay, for instance, recently people are pushing me that I need to open a secondary school. I need to open a secondary school based on what my primary school, because as big as Swiss Kids is, it's still a primary school. So, and one of the things I consider is putting my resources. For me to put up a good secondary school, I spend up to ₦1 billion.
Okay.
Instead of me doing that, I rather use it to buy a property, build a house and sell it.
Why is that?
And I make more gain.
Why is
now,
that?
but you are seeing, if I do this, I'm not creating job again. I'm not bringing more value to education. So the same thing happens to you who ordinarily could have been teaching, but because the place is not good, you decide to go and learn mechanic, because people will tend to go to where they can feed and survive. Then we have lost you. Before now, when you make a first class, they retain you to become a lecturer. But anybody who makes first class now run away immediately. Now, look at our admission level. It is when you score 8 in JAMB that they take you to go and do College of Education. And College of Education is where we train teachers who are going to train doctors. Then when you make 350, you go and become doctor. Why are you rushing to doctor? Because you think that you make ends meet in medicine, not because teacher, you don't like teaching. Some of us started teaching, but we didn't continue because we were not making money. So I had to change to software engineer. Today I'm a renowned software engineer. Okay. And in that, I think I make more cool money. But my passion always goes to transferring knowledge to others. That's why even if you come to what I do today, I still train people on how to do what I'm doing, because I love transferring knowledge. So if you look at it, you now begin to know that I could have ordinarily been a standard strong teacher in the classroom. If I teach you mathematics, you will love it.
That's commendable.
Do you understand? But I rather continue with my software so that I can be making money than going back to classroom, because the salary is not interesting. But if the salary become interesting now, you see a lot of, when lecturership, their salary was reviewed, a lot of people stopped and joined lecturership. That's when they produce our own set. What's happening in lecturing now, people are running away because they are not well motivated. In the next 10 years, we'll see the result. The people they will produce will be worse than us. Take my word.
Okay, let me go off script, because I've seen your passion. I want to ask you directly now. You said the private school came to solve a problem. In your assessment, have private schools been able to solve the impasse in education in Nigeria?
The point is this. Private school came to solve a problem. And they say that absolute power corrupts. So they came to solve a problem that was created. And more problems were being created, and people start, and a good number of private schools are now taking advantage of government inability to even drill from the problem they came to solve and make their money. Some are still doing that. So in every 12, there must be Judas.
Okay. All right. I may quite agree with you that, yes, teachers are not well taken care of. Yeah. However, I've seen how that has hiked you. But let's move away a bit into these new policies, new introduction into the curriculum. We've heard about digital literacy, AI, robotics, and all that, turning education to be a vocational and skill acquisition. I want your critical assessment of this, where we are told before a child should graduate from secondary school, that child should have learned a trade or a vocational skill. How do you see this new introduction? Was that part of your recommendation?
The truth of the matter is that these recommendations are very vital and fine. In fact, if you allow me, I should ask myself, why are we going to school in China? The way they understand school is different from the way we understand school. In China, they learn English just to be able to communicate. They are not learning it to become a pro. So you see some of their schools where you go, they speak China fully. Nobody is speaking English. What are the interests? They want to teach you garment making and you are learning it. Do you understand? So, but if you take me back to this country where you are talking about a child must learn one skill before he graduates, Uchenna, right?
Yes.
In the next 5 years, what we will be interested is, did you pass the course? Not did you learn the skill.
So,
did you pass the course? Not do the. So at the end of the day, we will graduate a mechanical engineer who don't know the combination of plug, valve, and piston. And if you ask me here, I will educate you how these three combust and produce energy that can move. And I will tell you the difference between gasoline and fuel. Why the one that uses gas does not need a fire plug, because the valve will burst it and all those things. Because I understand it and I know it and I can construct a cylinder. But I did not pass it. I don't have certificate to that. But if I go for certificate, I will get it. But I will be more relevant than that man who is interested in code. You look at Nigeria. You want to travel sometimes, they say you need a TB test. And you stay here and call and they give you a TB result. Are we fooling who? Understand me. In education is meant to bring solution. Go and watch the YouTube of my school. During the graduation ceremony of primary 6 this year, inside there we were not dancing, we were connecting CCTV and it was working live. That child who connected the CCTV knows what is BNC, he knows what is VGA, he knows what is DVR, he knows what is hard disk. That's what is important. And it wasn't even in their result. But when two of them who went to one secondary school I don't want to mention because I'm not advertising for them, when they got there, they started telling the teacher, we know how to do this. Their CCTV is spoiled in that school. They went and repaired it. They called my school. How did you do that? But in Nigeria, they will turn it upside down. They will say, do you have a certificate on any scale? You say, yes, I have certificate in aeronautic engineering. Where you have not entered aeroplane before. But you are an aeronautic engineer. so if I bring it together, the issue is not the nomenclature. I've said government should know the problem they came to solve. And when they solve one, we can clap for them. Leave all this in. The only problem we have just like me now sitting here analyzing, somebody will stay one place and be clapping for me that I'm too intelligent. Or guy, you can only quantify my intelligence when you walk into my school and see that all I'm saying here is working there. Not because I can stay here and speak eloquent grammar and you say this guy is too intelligent. Don't take it. Come to where I'm operating. Know whether what I'm saying here is practically done. And that's why most of the time when I'm called for interview, I beat my chest to come, because I can go and point where I've done that. I can point boys that are produced that have hand. I have point students who graduated from my school. Let me tell you, if I had been interested in money, my school is more standard than so many secondary schools in Enugu. Somebody came to my school and was asking me, he thought this is a polytechnic, but it's a nursery primary school. Because my interest is the result. And even if you talk about the money, I still make money there. So, but sometimes somebody just want to be answering proprietor of nursery, primary, secondary, university, the one that is running now school of nursing. Everybody is building school of nursing. I had a proposal to convert part of my school to school of nursing. So that is then when the person graduates as a nurse in my school and he has never touched injection, it's strange. I can quote you. I have a niece who graduated from one university in Enugu. It was when he graduated as a nurse that I found a place where she was working. That's the first time he started using syringe. And he was a nurse, graduated.
All right. Mr. Ness, if I get you correctly, if I understand you correctly, you don't have issue with the policy. Your problem is implementation. How have you implemented this in Swiss Academy that's made it functional, made it impact the kids? And how are we going to, or what would you advise that will toll in implementing this policy for it to work?
I've mentioned all the problem. Number one is teacher motivation. Come to my school. I have a small teacher's quarters. So when I employ you and you don't have accommodation, you can manage there. If I'm government, I will elaborate it. Number two, their salary. I still pay 13 months. Go and ask my teachers. They receive salary every 26. Today, they must have received their salary. You can take a step after now. They have never been owed. So and every September their salary is increased. Go today, you will ask them, did your salary not increase? Because this is the September salary. No matter how little, your salary must increase every September.
Every September.
Every September, your salary must increase. And today is September 26th, our salary date. Thank God, Nada Akuzu Wanaka. So I can tell you a salary date, but don't go and kidnap my teachers. So,
We are not kidnapping them. Okay.
so
We'll make the country work better.
thank you. So if you go there today, you know, when I talk, I give you example. Go and ask them, have you received your salary? Do you understand? We pay them during holidays. In some schools, they don't pay during holidays. We pay them during holidays. On December 18th, they receive their salary. These are the things that solve the problem of teachers that I told you, even though we've not gotten to where we are going to. But I pay teachers above minimum wage of Enugu State. That's another thing. Go and verify. I pay them above minimum wage. Primary school teachers, I pay them above minimum wage of Enugu State. Now, you come back to the training. The teachers undergo training to the point that my teachers are going to other schools to train them. Number 3, some of my teachers were enrolled in SDG training, that where they emerged, and that made our school to become an SDG school. Next year, they will be going to Singapore. Some of them, they have been selected to go for further training by UN about giving the qualitative education. These are the things, the ways the government ought. How many primary school teachers in Enugu have traveled to Lagos to just have a training? Do you understand? Even when they travel, what they are interested is in the what they call it, the ESTA code. Do you know that in my school you can't behave without behaving according to our motto, which is education beyond class? How many of these principals and teachers know the motto and the vision of the school they are leading? Without a vision of this Aneke TV, you can't run here. You must know what you people came to solve, and you run by the vision. How many times is the principal having training with the teachers? The teachers and the principal, who is even more knowledgeable. One time in my school, I had a principal, a head teacher. So anytime my teachers are going for training, he would tell them, you people will go. As a head teacher, he doesn't need to go. After 2 terms, the teachers were better than her, and he couldn't manage them, and she lost her job. Do you understand? All these things I'm telling you, I'm giving you examples. So in our schools, if the principal or the head teacher call for meeting, it must be for them to share orange or carafish, not to talk about. So the commissioner, how many times have you called the CSPs, sit them down, make them leaders, train them in a way that they can go down and train the one or subordinate to them. Anytime they want to do that, they will just put camera everywhere. Is that a result? Are you getting me? So the point here, and to your question, how am I implementing it in my school? I mentioned about 3. I can go on and tell you, because I know my problem. That's the thing. Number 1, do you know your problem? Because I know my problem, I'm taking them one by one. I'm improving in all of them. Next year now, we're working on water. We're working on water in my school.
Mr. Ernest,
Thank you.
perhaps what we're talking about is what the smart school in Enugu is set out to correct. Don't you agree with me on that?
I don't agree with you totally. I will still use my place as an example. I listened to the governor passionately making speech that the smart school is green smart school, that they have green farm, they have green electricity. In fact, the school in my my village, Obokpa, was one of them, publicly publicized, so I've been ready. But I can bet my money, I can bet my blockers that there is no green farm in that place, because it was built inside people's house. Look at Igwebezugoke's house. Look at the express that lead to Voko. Look at the church. Where is the green farm there? I don't want to argue about whether solar panels are there or not. So sometimes you see, it's not what we are being told that is being done. So, but in reality, in the speech, it's quite wonderful. So whether it's the people they gave the contract that are bastardizing it, but even I have said it time without number that the location of the one they located in my village is not well located, because one is that the school is at the boundary of us and another community instead of being in the center where the children can access it. So the accessibility issue has been 0. Then it is built in a built-up area along the main road where the children will just step down there at the 3rd road. So any emergency, if a motor has accident in that road, it can slide into the classroom, the location. Then you talk about farm. There's no land there to use and do farm, except whether they are going to do the farm inside the classroom. Do you understand me now? So, but the policy is fine. But you cannot blame the government always, because there are people who were in my village who were talking with the governor to agree for the school to be cited there. So I'm not like making excuse for the governor or the government. Why I'm also not blaming them in total. We are the government. What have we done? All I did as my own quota is that when I noticed that they have started building that, I came to media and said that. I wrote to the governor to have audience with him. I still have my acknowledgement letter. He didn't invite me. What else can I do? I leave it. But I've made my own effort as a citizen.
All right. Going forward, let's come down to the issue of the Enugu state in particular, new policies. And I meant to ask, given what we are seeing that private schools, we are told to pay 500,000 and then 200,000 for inspection. I want to ask, are you aware of any communique like this?
I even paid 250. So my school paid 250.
To my next question, how are private schools making profit this time around?
Let me come in. I have argued this in several quarters, in as much as I'm a private school owner. Even if government want to make the running of private school that you have to pay 1 billion, it really do not concern me much as a private school owner, but it concern me as a citizen of Enugu. Understand me? Why it doesn't concern me as a private school owner is that if the government have solved the problem of education, no private school will thrive. So imposing 2 million does not, they are just suffering the masses, because if you pose 2 million to me, I'll pose my school fees to 5 million, and you don't have option because there is no government school to go. You still come and you pay. So it affects me as a citizen of Enugu, not as a business owner. In fact, it becomes better for us as far as I'm concerned. But as a citizen of Enugu, it's not better for me. In my school, I pay land use charge for having the school. The NGs have come and say, they will count how many plots I built my school on, and I'll pay 100,000. And I have my CFO. After I pay land use charge, I come and pay NGs for recertification. The next government will come and do recertification. The road in front of my school, I spend 800,000 to fill it. Water have carried it away. So not even that when they collect this money, they come and help you and provide amenities. There is no dustbin around my school. I have told the local government chairman, nothing has happened. So I have to, every weekend, I have to contract a truck that will come and carry it. Yet I have SWAMA. The SWAMAs only go to the estates where the big men are living. Now, you come back to electricity. I've not had light since this will resume this time. So when you come to the question you're asking me about the fees, the government is just suffering their citizens. So when they put all this thing together on us, we will pass it to the parent. And because parent has no option, they will pay. But if they assuming the government has their schools here and there and they are doing well, if you make it unbearable for me, I close my school. Do you understand? In fact, when fuel got to the climax, I told my parents that I won't provide school bus again. They almost fainted. They had to look for a way to arrange money for me to buy a bus. You can imagine that. Because they are desperate. If the government are functioning, why would people suffer themselves to go and arrange money to buy a bus for a private school owner? Because they are handicapped. So what I'm trying to say is that the issue is not about whether the fee is correct or not, but is the government, what are they doing?
All right.
What are they doing? So as a private school, I have no issue. But as a citizen of Enugu, it's too exorbitant. And again, it now trickles down to those schools who cannot afford it. A school in Aniri collects school fees 7,000 naira, and it has 100 students. How much? 700,000, and he will come and take 250 to do inspection and take 400 to pay for license. How much is remaining to pay the teachers? Are you getting my point? We can solve it here, but we can't solve it there. Then is there a government school around that those children will go? The answer is no. Because the one available are not functioning. The one that want to function now is smart school and is not close to them. The children cannot track to them. And it's a basic education. Assuming this is a senior secondary education, we don't have a problem.
Okay. But let me ask, how is NAPS engaging the government concerning this multiple taxation? Vis-a-vis, you've mentioned a private school in Aniri that cannot afford to even pay 200,000. So how is NAPS engaging the government, and what are they doing?
Like last week, we had a meeting with the commissioner. Graciously, he called for the meeting, and he, like this scenario I mentioned, he said, okay, if the school come and prove that that is true, they are going to waive some things for the school, which is a good development. So NAPS is engaging them. I know that I saw a letter, they invited the current NAPS chairman to come to Ekene Namani's office and talk about the multiple taxation, because as I told you now, I use my school as example. Around, my school is around Dental. Anything I tell you to make inquiry. From Dental Junction, from St. Mary's to Tanker Park to Noah's, there is no waste being done. There is none. You know, I'm mentioning where you know that you are a journalist. Go and verify. So you can imagine that the problem is not only that we are being faced with heavy taxation, but the issue is that the amenities are not provided. There is no water. I know how much I paid this one. I paid and bought the big bucket. I know how much I paid. But have they rendered the service to me any day? No. Local government will come for capitation rate. I have paid. It's in my office. The Ministry of Transport will come that you pay for your bus. The signboard people will come. Which one will the Ministry of Education will come with their own. So if these things are there, let the service come.
All right. On that note, we'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll continue to probe on these issues.
Hello, I'm Debra Wakoba. I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chiwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obo Obina Samson.
Abu Ngozi Otahumele.
Hello, I'm Debra Wakoba. I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chiwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obo Obina Samson.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Insight, and we're looking at the education in Nigeria vis-a-vis the new policy directions of the government. And we are speaking with Ernest Ike Ugu, former chairman of NAPS, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools in Enugu, and he is the director of Swiss Kids Academy. Mr. Ernest, we are looking at these policies. Now, I want to know how you feel about this very one. There is direction that when a child enrolls in a school and ends up doing up to SS2 in a particular school, that child cannot leave that very school to enroll in another one to write NECO or WAEC.
That is a good policy. I said, I don't think we have any policy that is not good. My only problem is implementation. Yes, that is necessary because it helps in checking exam malpractice.
Okay.
However, let it not be when my son, because my name is Ernest, want to change in SS2, he will be able to change. But you, Uche, your son want to change, he can't change. That's my issue. Once it's going to be all animals being equal, these policies are good. I've said it from beginning. We have fine policies. If you talk about policies, but implementation, because we don't talk about implementation before. Ask the government, Fadam Bodile. We had a meeting, that's the chairman of PPSMB, and they said, that was when one man of Biafra was saying that he was going to kill me. Because I said, the government said, if you don't open school on Monday, they are going to close your school. It's a fine policy. But I told them they can't do it. They say, well, I say, yes, the school in Abakpa, you don't even know all of them. How are you going to close me when I don't open? If you close me tomorrow, will you be there for me not to open? Do you understand? So the issue is that they don't think what they want to do. They think about the statement, how good it is. They don't think about the implementability of what they said. And I sat with Father and said, Father, then Aneke Zaka was the commissioner for information. I said, this is not possible. that would rather say, we would rather take a trip on a Monday. People who open school, we give them some incentive. That's Nigeria. The following Monday, everybody will want to open, thinking that incentive is going to come, rather than saying that we are going to. What we needed was a result. Do you understand? That what we needed was a result, not for the masses to clap for us. So if we are just to be going to the television and say, if you don't open school, we have said everybody go to school on Monday, it makes no meaning as far as I'm concerned. But if we do something that will make school go on Monday, we realize our result. Whether you clap for us or not, the result is what we are interested in. So I have said that most times that government are not sincere, either by omission or deliberate. I don't know. They are not sincere in what they want to achieve. So for me, the policies are very fantastic. We don't really have a policy that I would say. Even the Chinese, it is fine because these days we are all moving to Asia. So it's good for us to learn. French is good for learn. But did we plan to achieve it? Or did we just want to say it so that somebody will clap for us that we are very intelligent? That's my own.
All right, but what about learning in our mother tongue? Do you see that as being feasible to implement in this era? And is it a direction that Nigeria should take?
Well, learning our mother tongue may work for Hausas and Yoruba. But my brother, we the Igbos, where most of our children don't even understand Igbo. So when you are teaching them with mother tongue, I don't even know which one you are going to call mother tongue for them. Because in fact, in my house, I'm also a culprit because my children always tell me they can understand all Igbo, but they can't speak very well because others are speaking English in the school. So, but I know that Yoruba people living in Enugu, their children are speaking Yoruba fluently. Whether it's fluently, I don't know anyway because I don't hear. But the way they speak, I think they are fluent. So, mother tongue is a good one. But the issue here is teach people with the language they know. If mother tongue is better for them, fine. It's not when I'm like this interview we are having here. If I know what I will speak in Igbo and make it more clearer to my audience, I should be able to speak Igbo. Not for somebody to be judging me is that I don't know my tenses. That's why I'm speaking like this. The issue is the communication. Am I communicating? Is the person I'm talking to comprehending what I'm saying? So in any case, we do it provided we achieve our result. I don't have a problem. But I'm very, very sure that the millennium children, the 90% of them don't understand their mother tongue. What they think is mother tongue is English.
All right. Before I get a little bit personal, let me ask this question. Do you see any future for private school education in Nigeria, given the policies some sort, the economy, and everything happening in Nigeria currently?
When you say future, I would want you to expatiate. Future as in surviving, or future as in
surviving. And then since government is going into smart school, digitalization of schools, and then perhaps we may see government being able to provide those basic difference that the private schools have been able to cover over the years.
The way the government are going, they can't solve the education problem. However, if they are able to do that, it is for good of Nigeria. So the whether or whether private education, private school education in everywhere in the world is different. They have different solutions they are providing. Go to US, private schools are there. Go to UK, private schools are there. Private universities are there. Do you understand? So we are not a different country. The highest we could do is to solve the problem to the point that the United Kingdom have solved their own, that did not remove private education. However, it will impact if the government continue in good trajectory. In fact, one of the things I have to commend the government is being conscious of education. Whether they are making mistake or not, one day they will get it right. But them standing up, they're talking about this education is a good one. Yes, because as they are talking about it, we are criticizing and telling them they are picking some information and using it to adjust one way or the other. In the next 10 years, I see us surviving if we continue like this. So it's not holistically to condemn that everything is bad. No. The consciousness alone is a good signal. I commend government for that, both in nation, both in state, both in local government, the consciousness. So, but what the government needs to adjust is to remove the eye service. Once they remove the eye service, things will go further. So, for private education, this or that, they are solving their different problem. So what will happen is that when government be able to solve the other ones, they won't put hand there. They will be restrained on what other private schools are solving in other developed countries. Not to hear that the private school are even solving, in fact, solving the problem of churches. Talk more of government solving the family problem. You know, this time around, when you see a child and he greet you very well, you say, "Which school are you attending?" Instead of say, "Who is your parent?" When I was small, when I behaved well, they asked, "Who is your parent?" But today, when a child behaves well, they ask, "Which school do you attend?" So the thing has gone down to that the school is even solving the family problem. In my school, sometimes we even go for counseling, teaching people how to cook food. But when the child open the food, you will see that the food is nothing to write home about. Some school now provide meal in the school, not because they don't want people to come with all sort of nonsense in the school. So the private school in Nigeria have gone further to even be solving family problem. So if those things are solved, then the private school will be restrained in solving the problem they are supposed to solve even in other nations.
All right. But before I let you go, this personal, are there any future political ambition that we should be watching out for?
No, every human being is a political animal. So we can't rule out anything.
Is there any move come 2027?
I contested the election last session, 2023. On June 5th, that I was going to Asaba for the Labour Party primary when His Excellency P2B said we should come to Asaba. I never knew that I was going to contest the election. It was in that hall that the Okute said, "You are a candidate of, you are a good person to contest the election. Go and contest the election." So yeah, if I say yes now and somebody, I see future in it tomorrow, I will go. If I say no, if I say yes now and tomorrow I see no reason to go, I will leave. But if there is opportunity for us to serve, what we have in our brain, we think that the Nigerian society need it. So if we see opportunity, we'll come. But we are not desperate. We have things we are doing. So if we are not seeing opportunity to come and serve, we'll go our way.
All right. On that note, we'll draw the curtain today on the insight. And we've been speaking to Enugu, former chairman of National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools in Enugu, and he's the director of Swiss Kids Academy. Ernest, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much.
But we'll invite you again where we'll expand on other issues. You know, today we'll just first government policies on education, but there are really other interesting issues that we'll need to dare to it.
Once I'm in town,
all right,
I
and you, our audience, remember that on the insight, your view matters. Send us your views, your opinion on if listening to an expert on these issues. So send us your opinion on what you think or other issues you think we will discuss with the hashtag The Insight on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Until we come your way, same time next week. I remain your host, Uche Osai.